Satnam, beautiful sovereign woman. I am Jyoti Rajiv Kaur with Veronica Berrigan. I am.com. Welcome to Sovereign Woman TV, where today we're going to be talking about how to heal the inner child and what exactly the inner child is. Welcome, welcome. And as always, thank you so much for liking and subscribing to Sovereign Woman TV. As you know, I go live every Tuesday and Thursday with Tuesday spiritual sovereignty videos to help you take your sovereignty back, healing yourself, healing generations before and after. And then Thursday with the follow-up Kundalini yoga and meditation to help you integrate this newfound awareness and learn how to control your mind. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So it's a very important and relevant time for us to really be speaking about the inner child. And this is not just like a new age mumbo jumbo term that somebody pulled out of a hat. In essence, there is a lot of weight that is carried in this term that is known as the inner child that really affects us, especially as women, on our day to day lives. It affects us by creating blockages and creating a lot of pain and suffering that is not needed if we could ourselves learn to reparent ourselves and learn to nurture this aspect of who we are. So, first and foremost, the inner child, what exactly is it? And then I'll get into why it's important for us to really talk about it right now during the age of Aquarius, and also the three-step process that you yourself can follow to help you really start the healing process. So the inner child, really, if we think about the inner child, it in essence it represents all the unprocessed emotions, those experiences that you had as a child that really left you really frustrated, really anxious, and just in a state of lack of sovereignty because maybe you felt that you were not protected or that you really could just not express what you were feeling. And this inner child, for us, we really abandon ourselves, by the age of 7. And even if we study, the brains of children, and we really look at the evolution of how the ego is even created, when our brains, when we're born, our brains are in a state of theta stage from the age of birth to about the age 7. And when you're by the time you're age 7, what this means is that that brain is like a sponge. It literally is just like absorbing all of the experiences that are happening. You're just like absorbing them and you're programming and you're training and you're in essence starting to create those programs, which are what the ego really is representing. The ego are programs that are instilled in you that live on the frontal part of your brain that run your life. It's like the subconscious mind that is hiding all of these unprocessed emotions, lack of love, all those things that really make us feel broken and separate from God source, right? All of those things that we don't want to face, they're hidden by the subconscious mind in a protection mechanism. And this inner child learns to cope or learns to adapt by running away from itself, by learning to numb itself, by even keeping ourselves so busy that we don't have to face, we can bypass the pain that we felt, whether we remember it or not. So the inner child is anything that we didn't process that still, in essence, is affecting us in our day-to-day life. And the way that shows up is very conniving and very, very in a very tricky way. And you may be having these experiences in your day-to-day life that are truly challenging you. Maybe going through a serious adversity. And if you look at it, what that really may represent is basically you replicating and mimicking whatever you actually experienced as a young child. And so inner child work is very, very sacred work. It's all about energy because as we move into the age of Aquarius, which I've done a whole video of you understanding what the divine feminine energy is and understanding energies as a whole. I'll put the link in the comments in the description below so you guys can go check it out. But as we move into this age of Aquarius, we're actually moving into being evolved beings that are multisensory because we, in essence, are the sixth sense, our intuition, this technology now that exists of meditation, this contemplative practices work that was, once only available to maybe our ancestors from the East, and for us in the West wasn't. And now because we've become a global society, we're all learning and integrating these new teachings, right? And technology, which really has collapsed time, has allowed us to print buildings and houses, and has really in the very near future is going to just blow your mind, right? With what's going to the ability for us to really teleport and move within dimensions, just the way our ancestors did, because our ancestors had this technology way before we did. And I did a whole video on that too, which I'll put the description below. But those advanced technologies are affecting our nervous system. They're affecting your consciousness. They're affecting who you are and your vibration and frequency in this world. And so the age of Aquarius is also bringing up all of this inner child pain because the subconscious can no longer hold it in. Why is that? The reason mainly is because as we move from this whole mystical or really this whole, I'm sorry, misconception that matter is real, and we start to understand that everything vibrates and everything is a frequency and energy, we start to realize that quantum physics is correct, and that the way we change our physical reality, which is a vibration, is through changing our inner self, and that is really the watcher, the wise awareness, or the awareness, right? And through that awareness, by changing what how we're perceiving something, we can actually change what actually shows up in this reality. And through quantum physics, we're also understanding that emotions, really what they are, is really just energy in motion. Energy in motion is emotions. And when we don't know how to control the mind, which the inner child who has felt all that pain wants to protect herself from the pain, right? Then those barriers then create barriers in the mind, and the lack of sovereignty for us to control the mind. And then that creates a lot of unprocessed emotions or lack of ability to control those emotions, which then create a lot of energy and emotion, which then shows up as physical illness last. So this inner child never goes away. You know, Yogi Bhajan, the great master who brought these teachings from Kundalini Yoga, of Kundalini Yoga from the east to the west, knowing what was going to happen in the age of Aquarius, right? He said the inner child within us never dies. And the inner child within us is very creative and very complex. And even if you're 72 years old, he said, your inner child is still there. So it's a constant work in progress of connecting. And now, as we move into the age of Aquarius and multisensory beings, understanding energy, we can understand that yes, the pain that was inflicted upon us, those moments of polarity, of lack of love, maybe those are not our responsibility. Or I mean, those are not our fault. And we're not trying to find a victim here. What is our responsibility is the healing, because we have all of the answers. We have all of the information in front of us now that allows us to not stay in the victim mentality and now stay in the low vibration of energies, to now use technologies like Kundalini Yoga to be able to move this energy and actually create a closer connection to our inner child so that we can truly live vibrant, sovereign lives. This is the year of the healing of the inner child, 2020 and beyond, and also the consciousness is the age of the soul and of connection to the soul and not just the mind, right? That Piscean age, which I did a whole video on, we're moving from that mentality, from that whole awareness and humanity being conscious in only the mind, and now we're moving into the heart, which is thousands of times stronger. And through connection of both, we're becoming these superhumans. And the only way you can do that is by actually addressing your subconscious mind, which is your inner child. All these unprocessed emotions because of anything that may have occurred. And a lot of the times, it's not even important to know why. It is basically just creating the space for you to start to learn forgiveness, compassion, and intimacy. That's where really the healing begins. And then becoming more and more aware day to day of any of the things that are making you, go back to those programs or go back to mimicking whatever you did not process as a child. So there's this three-step process that you can follow with one solution. So three things you can do that you should be doing in order to heal and have this connection with your inner child. And all of them, one path, one solution that will take you there. And this is the exact path that I followed. This is the path that I share with my clients and with the women I coach and that are part of the Sovereign Woman Academy and Satori Wellness. And so the first part of this really understanding that the healing needs to happen and the path to healing is awareness. Now, awareness is self-awareness is priceless. It's really a virtue that can take you far, far in life, in leadership, personally, in business, and life in general. And awareness is important, especially as it relates to healing your inner child, because you need to become aware of the triggers. Yes, what are the things that are repeatedly uh, um, it's, robbing me from my sovereignty? What are the triggers that are repeatedly taking me back to that state of not being able to control these emotions, these and this energy and motion, right? And awareness is not something, it's a muscle that must be practiced, especially when it relates to self-awareness, right? And it's awareness is being able to stand in the neutral mind, not in the positive or the negative mind, but a wise watcher, a watcher that in essence is able to not judge, but be, and in this way, shift the perception of whatever it is that's triggering that inner child. So we start to build awareness through being in our meditation practice. Kundalini Yoga as a technology works this way by being able to stand outside of ourselves, even if you're just meditating for 3 minutes. It's a deeply contemplative meditation practice. So 3 minutes, 11 minutes, whatever that looks like, right? But you're able to even be for those moments outside of your stories and more in this let me just watch and let me just stand outside of the situation. That space, that energy in itself is what allows for the miracle to happen, which in essence is a perception. A change of perception is a miracle. That's what a miracle is. It's a shift in perception. So you're growing, your awareness grows as you start to do more of your meditation practice, because you're able to sit with yourself. You're able to sit with all of the emotions. You're able to sit with the negative and the positive mind and the judgmental mind of what the experience or situation is that is happening to you. So you must begin the path of awareness by beginning the path of your meditation practice, by learning to stand outside of yourself, becoming a wise watcher, especially when the triggers are there, right? Not only are you going to become more aware of the triggers, but then you can take yourself to your mat and start to actually bring yourself to this present moment so that you can become aware exactly how you can process these emotions, or just sometimes it just is being with them and crying it out and feeling it instead of running and numbing it, because that's the problem. We run our inner child. A very clear sign that our inner child is back is that we're numbing, or we're keeping ourselves so busy that we're bypassing. So those are two clear signs that we need to be aware of. So awareness is the first step that you must really reach, and that is done through your meditation practice and learning how to live in the neutral mind. That's what we work through in Kundalini Yoga and understanding the 10 energetic bodies. The second aspect of healing this inner child that is just wanting your attention and then wanting you to really really connect and look at these patterns that are being repeated, right, is you must reprogram the mind. And now this is why so many addiction counselor or addiction therapy programs, or even marriage counseling programs, things of that nature, they have such a low success rate. It's very, very low. And the reason is because you can talk about it and talk about your perception and and all you want, but the problem is that if you're not in basically instilling new neural pathways in the brain, it is going to be very easy for you to go back to those addictive thoughts, those addictive substances, those anything that is basically programmed since you were a young child as part of your ego in the frontal lobe of your brain. So you have to reprogram the mind by creating new neural pathways. And that's exactly how the Kundalini Yoga meditations work. Kundalini Yoga, the meditations, what they do is they literally create these new neural pathways of awareness in your brain. And there have now been scans where we can scan a brain of a Kundalini Yoga meditator. And after 40 days, the scan actually shows that the brain grew or changed in some way. Neuroplasticity of the brain explains to us that this is possible. And so meditation works in allowing the brain to receive oxygen in areas where it's not getting a lot of oxygen because your inner child is acting up. Your inner child is freaking out. And all these unprocessed emotions are coming up, especially 2020 and beyond, and you don't have a technology to basically digest them and to let them out into the universe. You're keeping them inside, and they're just bottling up and traveling up your psyche, right? That's literally what's happening. So you're not creating these new neural pathways to allow this energy to create new programs in the brain and to basically allow yourself the awareness to raise the energy that's been so suppressed in these programs. So the reprogramming the mind comes with meditation and the oxygen and allowing the ego, which is the frontal lobe of our brain in the programs, to move to the back. A lot of the meditations, that's what happens when we scan your brain. What happens is that even if you can have, and it's not 11 minutes, right, that you're consistently in the state of just neutral mind state, but even for some people, even if they could move the ego and allow the program to just stop for just even 4 seconds, 1 second, that could be life changing or enough to completely catapult them on a new pathway of sovereignty and healing. That's it. It could take 1 minute. And like I mentioned, the Kundalini Yoga meditations we share, some of them are 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and some of them are 11 minutes. There's an incredible meditation for addiction, addictive thoughts that you can start practicing for 3 minutes, which I'll share very soon. But in essence, it's this everyday practice that is making sure these new streets, these new programs are being created in your brain so that the old ego, the old self doesn't come back. Your karma, which your karma is just your programming, the program that runs your life unconsciously. That's really what's going on. So it's very important that you reprogram and that and you create these new neural pathways in the brain. Otherwise, it's going to be your inner child is going to keep coming back and back and back and back. And then the third aspect of healing the inner child is really being connected to your Satnam. When I greet you all here at the very beginning of the videos, Satnam means truth and identity. And a lot of us can really butcher this, I know my truth, or I know who my truth is, because that could be the ego again, right? But Satnam is a vibration and frequency of just pureness. And it's a mantra that's like a seed mantra that just sprouts into light, into all of that you are. And the only way you can truly know who you are is if you have an intimate relationship with yourself. And most of us don't have an intimate relationship. Our inner child acts up because we don't meditate. We're not spiritually connected. We don't pray. Whatever gets you in that flow of connecting to your soul. And the reason we don't do that is because it's painful. We don't want to go into the mind, because it's a dangerous neighborhood and we don't want to go in there alone, right? There's a quote that says that. But the truth is, the more we really discipline our mind through our meditation practice, and the more we face the inner child, the more we sit with the programs, the more we start to get to know ourselves more, and the more we start to create a really intimate relationship with ourselves. And when you have an intimate relationship with yourself and you know your truth, you know who you truly are, when the inner child does come back to play, in a way that's not serving you, by the way, because the inner child can serve us in a creative manner, but in a way that that these are just programs, you're able to respond. I wish I could tell you that I don't react anymore, or that my inner child doesn't come out and really challenge me anymore, but that's just not the truth. The reason I share this information with you is because I have personal experience with healing, and it's been such a journey. I've shared with you all in some videos below, understanding, what happened when I went and worked with plant medicines in the Amazon jungle, and then processing and integrating all of that, as then later becoming a Kundalini yoga teacher, and now working with women, helping them heal their nervous system, take their sovereignty back by learning how to control their mind through my holistic virtual wellness center and through my Sovereign Women Academy. But the key here has been that every day I become more and more aware of this inner child. At one point, I didn't even know she was screaming at me. And it wasn't until I started to really integrate discipline of my Kundalini yoga practice, I began to teach it, that I started to really understand the scientific manner and way that I was healing. That I started to create this self intimacy with myself, started to love myself more, self worth went up. And when that started to happen, I started to not become triggered so much by the things that kept repeating itself in my life, just as a test to see if I was still going to go there. And then the moments where I did, allow my inner child to take over again and make me angry and lash out, right? They say charismatic people. I heard Guru Jagad, who's an amazing mentor of mine, incredible Aquarian leader woman. She says that, a lot of the times we ourselves, our inner child is just screaming, for attention, for us to truly, and I don't want to butcher what she said exactly, but screaming for attention, for us to truly connect to this truth that's in us, right? And the more we can learn how to respond and learn to actually not deny all those aspects of ourselves, the more we can learn to connect truly to who we are. And when we know who we truly are and know that, we can truly be more compassionate with ourselves whenever, things feel like they were emotional disaster or you were chaos that day. There's a lot of things we work through. I did a video on ancestral karma, and you don't know what you're dealing with as far as energy in this lifetime. But the key here is that there is a solution now. That there is technology. There is a pathway for you to follow these three-step process, which is first gain a better self-awareness of yourself. Second, you got to reprogram the mind with new neural pathways in the brain. And third, you've got to connect intimately with your Satnam and know who you are, so that if life does happen, you're able to not be so hard on yourself, and you're able to alchemize that energy, alchemize that challenge and raise its frequency so it doesn't keep happening again. That's the big difference. You have an opportunity if it happens again to then say, I am going to be an incredible alchemist with this energy and raise its frequency. And in that manner, that is how I'm going to heal myself and heal generations before and after you. Now, there's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful meditation, a Kundalini yoga meditation that actually works specifically to heal your inner child. And I'm going to be sharing that with you just a couple of days on Thursday. So make sure you join us by liking and subscribing. When you subscribe, you hit that little bell right there, right at the bottom. You will be notified when I go live. In this meditation, it's not a long meditation, but the key is it's very intentional, and it really works with healing our inner child, healing anytime we haven't felt fully protected and whole, so that we can heal the karma, the repeated patterns, and really move into our sovereignty and control our mind. So that's going to be on Thursday. So make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and join us then. Thank you so much for all of you that have joined us in building this community. I'd love to hear your feedback. Now that we're sharing so many meditations here, now that I've been sharing them, I'd love to hear your experiences with them. In the Age of Aquarius, it is about the age of experience. So it's going beyond watching the YouTube channel and also reading the book. It's moving into actually experiencing it yourself. And the key, especially with these meditations, is that we want to do them 40 days minimum, so that we can truly start to integrate these incredible benefits that start to really change your brain, your programming, and really start to allow you to live a life of sovereignty. So thank you so much for those that join us and for those that are doing the inner work. Like I mentioned, Satori Wellness is not open for a moment right now, but we will be opening soon. This is my virtual holistic center where I actually teach A Course in Miracle classes, Kundalini yoga classes, meditation, and also holistic recipes with some Aquarius leadership training as well. We'll be opening soon. We'd love for you to join our society, our community of sovereign women who are healing themselves, therefore healing generations before and after them. So stay tuned. For now, you definitely click on the link in the description to download any one of my complimentary meditations, where you can start your own meditation practice today and really start to reap the benefits of living life as a sovereign woman. Thank you so much for joining. Satnam and Namaste.